Hey guys, hey everyone. Hey guys, say hello as you come on in. Hey everyone. We'll get started in just a second. We're talking about red flags and green flags. Hi everyone, make sure you hit that share button to let other people know that we are live. I'm just making some sharing in these places and then we're going to get I wrote that song, the April song, but we'll talk about that another time. All right, guys, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well and having a wonderful day so far. As you can see, I've got some other bits and pieces behind me. Those that are watching on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Hi, guys, and Instagram. Hello. I pray everybody's doing well and having a great day so far. So, I want to jump straight into today's wife talks. So basically what I'm doing is I'll be going live most days of the week at different times. I'm going to try to stick to around this time to talk about these conversations. What we're going to call them is wife talks. And this is going to be your sacred space to talk about positioning yourself for covenant, not confusion. And I'm Rachel-Yvonne, your Kingdom Wife Coach. I say Kingdom Wife Coach and not Christian Wife Coach because it is about what does the word say and how can we apply that to our lives. And so today we're talking about recognizing red flags and green flags. All right, so hit that share button, let someone else know that we're live. Hello TikTok, hi Facebook, hi YouTube, hi Instagram. I'm alive. I am live everywhere. And we are definitely going to go ahead and get straight into what I want to talk about today. So like the topic says, never miss a red flag again and recognize a real one fast. This is what we're talking about. We're recognizing the real ones super fast. We're not wasting time. We're not dilly-dallying. We're not spending time in situations that no longer serve us. We're actually going to be jumping into things and situations that serve us and really kind of make everything better. Like, why would you put yourself in a situation that drains you, that actually you hate, and things like that? You want to be in a situation that actually makes sense, a situation that actually makes sense. Okay. All right. So today, this is probably our first one, our wife talk. And our first conversation is around red flags and green flags. And let me tell you a little bit about me, and then we will get started. I don't know why this dress, because it's like a poofy dress, when I sit down in it, it does this. All right. So today, I want to tell you a little bit about me, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Among other things, the main thing that these lives are about today is helping high standard women to attract and marry the right man by embodying biblical femininity and setting godly standards, all right? Staying covered so you never settle for confusion. And I think one of the main things around this settling for confusion is because we don't know what our red flags are and we don't know what our green flags are. And today we're going to talk about how to recognize those today, how to recognize that and how to position yourself so that you're never going to be blindsided. Because I am going to tell you something. Most cases, 99% of situations, you were never blindsided. 99% of situations, you were not blindsided. There were always signs, almost always. I'm going to say almost always because there's always going to be a situation that someone's going to say, oh, but I didn't know. And I'm going to, I'll give you that. Almost always, you are going to have signs, okay? There are almost always signs. And I'm just going to make sure I've got the link up here for She's a Wife. So if you want to join She's a Wife, I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment, but I want to make sure I've got the links up here. And those that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, it's that link that's scrolling across the bottom. Listen, for the best experience, you probably should watch it on YouTube or Facebook, just because you can get all of my visuals and whatnot. Let me just make sure. bit.ly, She's a Wife. So if you're interested in joining my program, you can do that. If you would like private coaching, then send me a message and we will talk about that as well. So I'm just going to put the link so it's pinned there. And while I'm just doing that, let me know how your day is going in the comments. How is your day going? And where are you watching from? What country are you in? Let me know where you're watching me from today. And I'm excited to talk about this today, about red flags and green flags. Okay, so I've pinned the comments. So if you want to jump in at any time, you can go ahead and do that. You can also send me a message or comment, and I will send you a message, and then we'll get into that right now. All right, so we're going to get into today's session. So again, I love to help high standard women attract and marry the right man by embodying biblical femininity, setting godly standards, and staying covered so you never settle for confusion. That is the goal here. It's always that you would live the life that God actually wants for you, and that you would see yourself as being worthy of such a thing. Because sometimes people can make us feel like we're not worthy, and we're definitely going to get into that today. Okay, so again, in opening, we are talking about the never missing a red flag again and recognize the real one fast. And this is I'm gonna cover things that maybe no one has told you or you've never heard before, but God will expect from you in order to have discernment around what you do for your future, because your future matters, right? God cares about your future, He cares about you, and therefore there are different situations and relationships that actually make you a better person. There are relationships that you will be in that make sense, and there are some relationships that won't make sense and you don't need to be in them, right? And so those are the things we're going to be talking about in today's live. And so I definitely pray that you find this super useful. I'm excited about this conversation. I don't know if you can tell, because my energy is through the roof today, because life has just been so amazing. I'm having the best week ever. And I thank God for an opportunity to be able to share with you today about red flags and green flags. All right, so drop a 1 in the comment if you're here with me live. Drop a 1 for me in the comment. Those on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, drop some 1s in the comment so I can just see and let the algorithm know that this is a good thing to watch. Okay, great, great, great stuff. All right, so part 1, the real reason why we miss red flags. And I want to cover a few things here. The first thing is, most time women, we don't lack the signs. Okay, it's not that we lack the signs. We lack the courage to act on them. We don't lack signs. We lack the courage to act on them. I think it was yesterday when I did my Wife Talk live yesterday, I talked about this idea of don't be afraid to walk away. And sometimes we can be afraid to walk away because we lack the courage, and we feel as though if I don't marry this one, then there won't be anybody for me. Or if I don't choose him, what about if nobody else finds me, or if I can't, date anybody else? And so sometimes we feel like we have to stay there because we lack the courage. And so yesterday I talked about don't be afraid to walk away. One thing about me, I am never afraid to walk away from an opportunity, a man, a situation that no longer serves me. I've talked about this before, about being divorced and walking away from marriage, and how in doing that, I unlocked a new part of me that I wouldn't have been able to get if I'd stayed in that situation. And I know that's a bit different to what other people say, but I can only talk about what God shows me and how that impacts my life as a woman today. Another reason why you miss red flags is because you crave potential more than presence. So you want someone you can work on. You want someone that you can mold into your own perfect man, right? And so therefore you crave potential more than presence, and you start to excuse his inconsistency. You start to excuse his inconsistency. And we should never ever excuse his inconsistency. Sometimes there are going to be situations that where they might be going through something, or they're having some thing, a big conference that they're involved with, or they're going to speak somewhere super big, or they've got these other things that's going on in their life. And sometimes that is a thing, but it is best and it is honoring to you when they actually communicate. A good man who's concerned about you and is concerned about your heart will communicate to you about things that are going on in his life, about things that he might be experiencing, and so on. And so you've got to really get that into your mind, that the right man for me is going to be clear about what he wants, what he desires, and what that even looks like for his life. Okay. And so we want to definitely get that to get that crystal clear today. Get that crystal clear about what we're getting into, even in today's live. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them, whether you're on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. Definitely write down your questions in the comments and I will be able to answer them. I'm seeing your comments as they come up. And so definitely write your questions if you have any questions or points of clarification that you want for me to get into a bit more. So sometimes, as I said, you crave potential more than presence. And so you excuse his inconsistency and you make excuses. And this is what happens. We do not, there aren't a lack of red flags, but we choose to ignore them, or we make them smaller than what they actually need to be. We make them smaller than what they actually need to be, not realizing that by sidestepping that standard, we're actually bringing things down for ourselves. When actually what God wants us to do is to be able to be positioned for success and to really understand that this is the life and lifestyle that I desire, and I am clear on what that looks like for me. The next reason why sometimes we will miss the red flags is because, listen to this, God always shows you who that man is in small moments first. I'm going to let that land just for a second. God will always show you who that man is in small moments first. And your discernment must be louder than your fantasy. You have this idea in your mind of what a perfect man looks like, what a perfect marriage looks like, and what you would like to see. But you must realize that it is important that you allow your discernment to be louder than your fantasy. So you're not fantasizing about who he is and who he could be. You're looking at who he is right now. And this is why sometimes when women talk to me about submission and following their man and things like that, they ask me, why is it so easy for me to know that I would like to follow so and so? And the reason is because from the very beginning, I am checking in to see what's his integrity like? What are his mannerisms like? What are his beliefs? How does he feel about women, his mom, his sisters, women in his family, different things like that? You're paying attention to those things so that you can see, is this the type of man that I, number one, need to be around, and number two, can actually follow? And I just realized that I forgot to send an email out. So I'm going to go ahead and send an email now while we're talking about this. And if you have any questions, definitely pop them in the comments, because I am able to read the comments as we continue. Earlier on today, I did a live masterclass for one of my coaching communities. For June, our focus is joy. And so we're talking about I am joy in June, right? And so yesterday I did a masterclass talking about, inside of my private coaching community, mind you. Yesterday I did a class where I was talking about becoming a joyful woman. And then today we talked about being an unbothered woman. And you've got to realize that there are things that are trying to rob you of your energy. In the spiritual community, they call it energy vampires, energy vampires, energy vampires. And you want to watch and see, what does that look like in your life? Are there situations and people and circumstances that are robbing you and draining you of your energy? Is there anywhere in your life where you're having energy leaks? Because the Bible tells us, and I've mentioned this in a live before and in some videos of mine, that you need to be aware of casting your pearls before swines, and knowing that who God has called me to be is who I am called to. And you want to be able to say that I am the woman of my own dreams. I am the woman of my own dreams. And in knowing that, you've got to realize that no matter what I do, it must line up with who God has called me to be, who I entertain, the kind of man that I entertain, the lifestyle that I entertain. It must equal what it is that God has decreed and established for you in your life. And so you want to get clear on those things. You want to get crystal clear on those things, so that you're not in a place where you are forgetting who you are. Because sometimes we can forget who we are. And that's one of the ways that we ignore some of the red flags. Sometimes we ignore red flags because we're so gung-ho about a particular decision, not realizing that we're actually blocking our blessing by not going for what it is that God has told us to go for. So we're talking today about how to recognize the red flags, as well as the green flags as well. Okay. And so if you have any questions, as I said, please do pop them in the comments, and I'd love to answer them as we continue to go live, as we continue to talk about this topic of realizing that we can recognize red flags and green flags. So we're not just talking about the negative, we're talking about the positive as well today. So I'm just quickly sending this email out to everybody on my list, apart from those that are just for Bible studies only. So I'm just making sure, green flags are important. Hey, green flags are so important. And we're talking about that right now. Let me just finish up this email real quick. There we go. Having a quick interlude here. I want to make sure I get everybody into this email now. Okay, I think we're good. I think we are good on everybody. And so those who are watching me on TikTok, hello. In Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Okay. So if you have any questions, as I said, definitely pop them in, and then I will be able to answer them. And I also do have coaching and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in any of those things, shoot me a DM, and I will be able to get into those with you right now. Okay. Okay, let me just make sure this link is there. Okay, so let's continue on in what we're talking about today. We are talking about how to see the green flags and spot the red flags. So both of them are really important. And oftentimes we do see the red flags, but we choose to ignore them. We choose to ignore them. And I want you to understand that it is not your portion to sit there and ignore the red flags or the green flags. You must be aware of those things and really put yourself in a place where you are able to discern quickly. I preached a sermon a couple of weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where I was talking about everything is going to happen quickly. And you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready for when things happen quickly, so fast your head spins, but that your discernment is so on point that it doesn't matter and it doesn't move you what is happening. God will always show you, but you've got to be clear on God's voice in your life and what that looks like. I've missed more than one red flag in the past, and you pay for it in years. And that's why what I'm talking about today is I'm teaching you how to see it, walk away early while your softness is still intact. How many times have you met a woman who is you can see that life has made them hard? Thank you so much, Marcia. You see a woman and life has made them hard, but then you realize it's because of their experiences. But the reason why I've been able to remain soft is because of the things that we're talking about today. So let's get into the 5 red flags to spot super early. The first, number 1, is inconsistent words and actions. Listen to this one. Inconsistent words and actions. This is probably one of the biggest ones. He promises big, but delivers small. And if you find yourself justifying the gap, that is your sign. That is your sign to move right along. That is your sign to move along. When he's promising big, and then he never actually follows through. That's the first one. Inconsistent words and actions. That's a big one. That's a big one. And oftentimes we will justify what the gap is. We'll justify what he's doing. We'll justify it and be like, oh, maybe he didn't mean this, or maybe he didn't mean that. You know exactly what he meant. But he is choosing to be inconsistent. Inconsistency is a choice. That is a choice that he's making, to be inconsistent. He is choosing to be inconsistent with you in that moment. That's the first thing. The second thing is over access with no clear intention. He FaceTimes daily, acts obsessed, but avoids defining anything. And a man on assignment makes his pursuit super clear. Can I tell you something? The people that I have the most respect for are especially when I hear from my clients, the women, what they love and what we really love. And we talk about this a lot in our coaching calls. So if you like a coaching call, definitely message me. I do have coaching calls for men as well. If you want to get like a feminine perspective on certain things, you could definitely send me a message and we'll talk about that as well. A lot of times, a man who is clear from the beginning, because remember, when we talk about pursuit, I wrote a post on this yesterday on Facebook about pursuit and how oftentimes the man that you're going to marry has been watching you for a while. He's been looking, he's been paying attention. Maybe he sees your social media, he sees what you post. Maybe he's watching you at church and he's been watching how you conduct yourself or what ministries you're serving in. Maybe he's at your workplace or he's on your commute to work or whatever in your community. He's already asked someone about you. And that is what pursuit is. When a man has already noticed you and then he inquires and then he makes his mark to actually speak to you. And what we love the most is when a man is clear from the beginning that actually, I already know that you have the qualities that I'm looking for. I already know that you are the kind of woman that I desire to be with. I already know that this is what I am looking for. So when you see that, that is what we're looking for. And if that scares you, then maybe you're not ready for marriage or commitment as much as you think you are. If that scares you, then maybe you are just not ready for a commitment. So we've got to be careful that we are saying things, declaring things, that we're thinking things, we're believing things, we're trusting in things that we actually want. And not just saying them because it sounds cute. And because I'm this, I should start to desire marriage. You don't have to. What you need to be clear is, what are my true desires and what is it that I am looking forward to achieve in my life. So the first one was inconsistent words and actions. Number 2 was over access with no clear intentions. A man on assignment makes his pursuit clear. I cannot overemphasize that enough. Those are my favorite. Are men who are crystal clear on what they desire and what they desire from you. I was in a conversation yesterday where they were talking about situationships and so on and so forth. And what is interesting is men who are clear about, hey, this is just fun for me. I actually just want fun. And you as a woman need to know how to respond to that. So if you're responding to that, imagining that you're going to change his mind, don't do that. That is a really bad idea, to go into it assuming and expecting that you're going to change his mind and suddenly make him into marriage material. It's not going to happen. I promise you that if that man wants to get married, he's going to get married. Very simple. Number 3 is he talks like a leader, but lives like a boy. Watch how he stewards things, his money, his time, his honesty, how he treats his mother. I've mentioned this before, and other women is your preview. How he treats women that he knows, women in his community, even women that he's fallen out with. How does he treat them? What does that look like? By knowing that, you're able to see what kind of qualities this man actually has. Okay? You're able to see what kind of qualities he has by watching how he conducts himself. How does he speak to you? When he's upset, how does he speak to you? Does he give you the silent treatment? I remember I dated this man a long time ago, very long time ago. I dated this man a very long time ago who would give me the silent treatment. And when he was upset about something, he wouldn't discuss it. He would just not talk to me for like days and days and days. And I'll just be like, wow, is this really what we have to look forward to? And you've got to be aware of how they show up in different spaces, because pay attention. If he is truly a leader, how is he stewarding his leadership? Say, for example, he's a ministry leader like a pastor or a department head, or he's a CEO of a company, or he has his own company. How does he steward his business? How does he steward his money and his time, his honesty? How does he treat those things that are so-called important to him? Pay attention to those things. Number 4, the 4th red flag is your spirit feels tense and not peaceful. It is such a major turn on for a man for you to be able to say that he makes you feel safe. That you feel safe in his presence, he makes you feel safe, you feel secure when you're around him, you feel so protected when you're with him. Those things are really important. A woman must feel safe with him. So if you feel tense and you don't feel peaceful when you're around him, that is absolutely a red flag. That is a negative. That is a no. We do not stay around men that make us feel unsafe. And not just that, when you feel safe in his presence and outside of his presence. I talked about this before, about how one of the ways you'll know if a man likes you is if he's willing to put his reputation on the line for you. So for example, say so I'm a speaker, so I preach at churches and things like that. And I can always tell if he really likes me if he's willing to tell his friends that I'm in town, or he's willing to say to his friends, his other preachers and other people that he knows, that, oh, I know this really great woman of God, she can come and speak at your church, whatever. Those are really good signs, and they show me that he values what I carry. For example, that's an example that I can use personally for me. Another thing that you can see that he definitely likes you is if he's able to share resources with you. So not always money. So some people always only go to money, and we'll talk about money another time, but his resources. Say, for example, he's skilled in something, like he gives you access to a course that he's paid thousands for. Or if he is a course creator or content creator or something like that, he gives you access to content he's created that he's paid for. Like he'll give you a coaching call for free, things like that. Or he will bring you on board a program or something that he's already doing that would benefit you as well. Things that don't necessarily benefit him, but he knows that they'll be valuable to you. So those are other ways that you can kind of tell that this man sees you as an investment and someone that you're worthy of his investment. And number 5, the 5th red flag is you can't say no without risking the connection. So if he only likes you when you're agreeable, he doesn't want a wife, he wants a servant. If he's looking for a yes woman, you're not going to say yes to everything. You're not a doormat. So if you can't say no to him, because if you say no, he's going to get mad, he's not going to talk to you anymore, then that is a red flag. Because a man who actually likes you, a man who sees you as his wife or someone that he can see a future with, or sees you as a good woman, is open to your feedback. He's open to your criticism. Well, not criticism. I wouldn't say criticism. I don't like to criticize men. I like to provide feedback. For example, I have lots of examples. I have lots of stories for you. So one example I can give you is this person asked me for my opinion on something they were writing. For example, they're writing something, they wanted my opinion, sent it to me. I had a look. I gave my constructive feedback. Make sure you celebrate and, really kind of like, this is why. Let me pause for a second. Do you hear why it's important that every man you interact with is someone that you actually deeply respect and admire? Because that is the first thing, is that first of all, when you're only around people that you respect and admire, these conversations become so much easier. So when they send me, like, say, like he wants to send me something to look at, like his book or some post that they want to post, and they're like, oh, Rachel, what do you think about this? I know you're a great mind. What do you think? So they will send me the thing and I will have a read of it. And I will send my constructive, feedback towards it. Usually starts with, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I love this. This is what I love. ABC is what I love. And this maybe could be edited, or this is what I like. I have a question about this. And so that means that you are never always a yes person. They know that you are not to be played with. I am not to be played with. You position yourself as a woman who is not to be played with, because you have your own mind. You have your own brain. You're not a bird. You're not just some random pretty face that they can just mess about with and just throw back into the marketplace. That's not how this works over here. So if you can't say no without risking the connection, he doesn't want a wife, he wants a servant. If he only likes you when you're saying yes to everything, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I mean, majority of the time you are going to be saying yes, sir, because as I said, we only deal with men we deeply admire, respect, and actually like. If you like him, then you'll begin to see like how you respond and things is different. So let's get into the green flags. Here are the green flags, what to look for instead. And this is probably your favorite part that you're probably waiting for here. So the first thing is consistency without confusion. He follows up. He follows up his word with actions. His follow-up matches his flirting. Because a real man who's interested in you will circle back and clarify. I want to say it one more time. He's going to circle back and clarify. Sometimes you just need a little bit of clarity. And sometimes he knows that you need clarity. And so he will circle back and clarify. Number 2, our second green flag is this. Our second green flag is he's protective but not possessive. I'll never forget. This gentleman said to me one time that I will never, ever try to squash your gift. I will never be jealous of you doing things, getting engagements, going here, traveling. I'm not going to do that to you. And he said it like twice. And he was like, Rachel, I need you to know that I love everything that you do. And I will never, ever, ever try to squash your gift. That is really important. That is a green flag where they're protective and they will ask you questions maybe about engagements you're going on, or I'm obviously talking about things that relate to me, but you've got to kind of think about the things that relate to you that you would want him to be protective of, but not possessive. When he's protective and not possessive, he wants you safe and not trapped. He covers you emotionally, spiritually, and not just physically. So he's not just trying to have all your time, be possessive, but he actually is concerned about you emotionally and spiritually. So you feel safe and not trapped. Number 3, the third red flag here green flag, sorry, is peace. You don't lose sleep guessing his feelings, and your spirit feels restful and not exhausted. So you're clear. You have peace around him. When you hear his name, when you think about him, you have peace. That there's a peace you have because you recognize that he actually brings you peace. Not confusion, not worry, not stress. He actually brings you peace. Number 4, a reverence for God. That is our 4th green flag here. He fears mishandling you because he fears disappointing God more than losing you. So he knows that I've got to look after her because she's a rare jewel. She's a queen. She's a wife. She's a godly woman. And I'm going to protect her. I'm going to cover her. I'm going to make sure I don't mistreat her, mishandle her. I'm going to make sure I take care of her like the prize that she is. So he has a reverence for God where he's afraid of mishandling you because he doesn't want to disappoint God. And number 5, he aligns his life for you. His words align with his action. He's introducing you to people. Remember, I talked about this earlier, making room in his world and future talk that costs him something today. So actually making physical plans, coming to see you, visiting you, especially if you're long distance. He's coming to visit you in your country, in your city, in your town. He's coming, he's making plans to see you. He actually follows through on those plans. When you're nearby, he makes plans so you can get closer to him, and he wants to get closer to you as well. And he knows that these conversations cost him something today. And so he's okay with that because he understands that my words matter. And I want to make sure that my words align with my action. So those are our 5 green flags. And so how should you respond to the red flags that we mentioned earlier? Don't argue about them. Remember, I told you that I don't argue. I will state my point. I will be very clear. With me, there are never any gray areas. I am very clear. And I know people don't want to out themselves in this chat, but like if you've ever interacted with me on a personal level, you'll know that I'm very crystal clear about everything. So don't argue about red flags. We don't argue. We observe and then we act based on what we've observed. You don't need to explain your standard. You enforce it by how you live, by how you live. How you live shows people how to respond to you and how to treat you and how to speak to you. And then walking away does more than 1,000 boundaries he doesn't respect. That is how we respond to red flags. We don't be like, try to negotiate with him about the red flags, and we try to negotiate with him and talk about them. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You know what your red flags are. You know what your standards are. And it's time for you to walk away. So let's recap again, the red flags again. What were the red flags again? Number 1, inconsistent words and actions. Number 2, over access with no clear intentions. Number 3, he talks like a leader and lives like a boy. So he's not stewarding his leadership. Oh, don't worry, Esther. You can watch the replay. I'm keeping these videos up and they'll be on YouTube as well. Number 4, your spirit feels tense and not peaceful. Number 5, you can't say no without risking the connection. So he always wants a yes girl. And then the 5 green flags that we're looking for are consistency without confusion. So he's following up and he's going to circle back and clarify. Number 2 is that he's protective but not possessive. Number 3 is that you have peace around him. Like your spirit feels restful when you're around him and like you think about him. Number 4, his reverence for God. And he doesn't want to mishandle you because of how he feels about God. And number 5, his life actually lines up with what he's saying and his life aligns with your life. All right. And so in closing today, what I need you to understand is that your softness is sacred and God didn't make you a wife to beg to be seen as one. If you spot the red flags, you can bless him from a distance and know that he's perfect for somebody else and not you. Because that's the thing. The reason why I don't have, a lot of the times when I communicate, or even in marriages or whatever, that I don't have, I can go and talk to them. Like I can walk up to them tomorrow and be like, oh, hey, how are you? We can have a conversation. It's because I learned to bless people from a distance. I hold no ill will and no ill feelings towards anybody that I've ever spoken to. No bad feelings. There's nothing there. I can bless you from a distance. And you've got to learn that. Learn how to bless people from a distance. Normalize not having to bad talk, and down talk everybody that you've been in a relationship with, you've dated, or you were married to, you had children with. Normalize, especially as ladies, because remember, what we're saying, we're going to see those things manifest in our lives. And that's, a little bit of extra there. Save your standard for the man who fears losing you more than you fear losing him, and actually doesn't want to displease God with how he handles you. So you've got to save your standards for that type of man. And so if you're watching this today and you're saying, okay, this speaks to me, then imagine what 6 weeks of this frequency could be like, where I'm able to coach you for 6 weeks. And then we also have continuation of monthly calls after the 6 weeks are done. And the doors are open to She's a Wife. And the links are right there. They're pinned for you. They're in the comments for you over here. And they're pinned for you here. And I want you to join us in She's a Wife, which is going to be such an amazing time together, where we are focusing on a few things. Learn how to walk as a wife before you have a ring, spiritually, emotionally, and practically. We're talking about applying biblical principles that help to filter counterfeit men and highlight the right one. Okay. Another thing we're talking about in She's a Wife is carry a softness. Learn how to carry a softness that draws godly masculine pursuit, provision, and protection. And then the last thing we're going to be talking about inside of She's a Wife is stop repeating cycles and step into a legacy love story that your children will thank you for. Okay, so if you have enjoyed today's wife talk, we'll be back tomorrow around a similar time, depends on my schedule. I try to not be out in the sun, like when it's like this time of day. So that's why I come in and do my lives. And then I might go live later with a more of a Bible study one, maybe later on. I'll see how I feel. But if you enjoyed this episode of our wife talk today, let me know. Send me a message. Heart the lives. If you go on my YouTube, you'll be able to see all the replays. It's up on Facebook right now, but Facebook is deleting lives. So go on my YouTube channel and you'll get all access to this. And I hope you've enjoyed today's session. And if you have any questions at all, send me a message. My DMs are open on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You can write a comment and I will get back to you. Instagram, send me a DM and we can talk more about what we've discussed today. And I want you to know that you will never miss a red flag again. Okay? I'm a preacher, so I can't help myself. I have to get a little bit preachy in these lives. You will never miss a red flag again. You will never sell yourself for less than what you are worthy of. And you will recognize a real one super fast. You're about to be snatched up. Okay? Okay. All right. So God bless everybody. Send me a message if you have any questions. You can always comment on here. Share this live. For those of you on Facebook and YouTube, share it with somebody else. If you're listening to the podcast, share it with somebody else. Let them know that we have this and we go often, quite often. All right. So God bless everyone. I'll see you all soon. Bye, TikTok. And I'm going to say bye to Instagram and bye, Facebook and YouTube. Bye-bye.